watch. It might happen.
Everybody smile.
Hello, everyone. My name is Bina. I'm so glad that my mother named me Bina because it means understanding in Hebrew. My friend, my very best friend Joseph, liked to talk with me because I understood. You see, in our Hebrew land, it's very vast, very wide. So we did not have close neighbors and close friends. But Joseph had brothers who worked in the fields watching the sheep. And he would take food to them. His father would send him to take food to them, to check on them, make sure they had what they needed. And sometimes he would get to stop by and we could spend some time. Joseph had this beautiful gown made for me. You see, in Hebrew land, we live in a desert, so we dress very simply. Joseph liked beautiful things, not to take advantage of having beautiful things, not to show off, but Joseph knew that God provides all good things. And so he wanted to share something with me, his best friend. It's good to have a best friend, isn't it? You see, Joseph had some really hard times. He was born much later than his brothers, and he had a baby brother besides himself that he loved very much. And it just so happened that he and his baby brother were born to the father's favorite wife. You see, in our land, sometimes we had many wives and husbands and parents, but his brothers did not look kindly upon him as their father did. They thought him to be spoiled. They thought him to be a tattletale. They were not nice. And one day, Joseph told me this story much later. We were apart for many years because of all the things that happened to Joseph. But you know, he was right. All good things come from God. And God has a purpose for everything that happens. And Joseph ended up having a wonderful life. But in the meantime, there were some really, really hard times. You see, growing up, Joseph had a gift of dreams. He could read people's dreams, but he had some dreams of his own. And so when he's trying to understand his own dreams and he's telling them to his beloved father, their brothers would make fun of him and tell him things like he was showing off, and it was sad. And one day, the father presented Joseph with this beautiful colored coat. Now Joseph was young, much younger than his brothers. Remember I said that. So the coat was small. There was only one. It wouldn't have fit the other brothers, but they still saw it as Joseph was having favor from the father. They didn't like it. It became so harsh, the brothers toward Joseph, that one day their father sent him out to the fields to bring food to the brothers, to check on them, to make sure they had what they needed. And the brothers saw him coming, And that beautiful color coat that Joseph loved so much. Well, they took that coat. They took one of the sheep, they slaughtered the sheep, they covered the coat in blood, ruined that beautiful coat just because they had ill feelings toward Joseph. And nearby there was an old well, and those brothers took Joseph and threw him in there. And they had the plan that they would take this coat and show it to their father and lie to their father and say Joseph had been eaten by an animal. Such a sad thing. A man's own family. Well, along came some men down the road that were selling goods off their cart to city. And they got the idea to send Joseph along away from the entire area, again, so they would not get caught. They actually sold Joseph to those men as a slave. Well, there's some more things that happened. I don't know all the details. Joseph and I could only talk just so often. But then, one day, God caused the brothers to have a purpose to come where Joseph was now living. You see, all these terrible things happened to Joseph, but he was in the land of Egypt where there was a Pharaoh who also needed his help in interpreting more dreams. Joseph was so blessed by God to be able to do this that the Pharaoh's own men could not interpret the dreams the way Joseph did. So Joseph was promoted in that country. He became second in command to the Pharaoh. God had good purpose. Well, it came to pass that in the country of the brothers lived, there was no food there, not enough food. And they had to come to Egypt. And God caused this amazing transformation. And Joseph was able to reveal himself to his brothers. And they were amazed. Of course, by now, Joseph was a man. He dressed differently. The Egyptians dressed differently than the Hebrews. And when they found out he was their brother, they bowed to him. And you know what he said? He said, "What you meant for evil, God meant for good." And Joseph ended up with this wonderful life, reunited with his family, reunited with his father and his beloved younger brother. So you see, the reason why I'm telling you this story and the reason why we're going to be talking about these things all week is because, just like the song said, stand strong in hard times. It will pass, and we're going to help you do that.